Let me begin by speaking plainly to you, because when it comes to your health, especially your blood pressure, there is no benefit in sugarcoating the truth. Many people believe that healing starts in the clinic, with prescriptions, tests, and follow-up appointments. But what if I told you that long before any doctor writes a prescription, your condition has already been quietly shaped by something far more ordinary, your daily meals? You see, high blood pressure does not suddenly appear overnight. It builds slowly, silently, over years of small, repeated choices. A little too much salt here, too many processed foods there, not enough fresh, nourishing ingredients. And before you know it, the body begins to struggle. The blood vessels lose their flexibility, the heart works harder than it should, and the pressure begins to rise. Not because the body has failed you, but because it has been responding to how it has been fed. Now, here is where many seniors make a critical mistake. They wait until the numbers go up. They wait until they feel dizzy or fatigued. They wait until a doctor finally says, your blood pressure is too high. And only then do they begin to take things seriously. But by that time, the body has already been under strain for quite a while. I want you to shift that mindset completely. Food is not something you turn to only when things go wrong. Food is your first line of defense. It is your daily opportunity to support your heart, to nourish your blood vessels, and to keep your system balanced before problems arise. Think about it this way. Every time you sit down to eat, you are either helping your body relax and function smoothly, or you are making its job harder. There is no neutral ground. The body responds to everything you give it. Fresh fruits, vegetables, and whole foods send signals of healing, helping to widen blood vessels, reduce inflammation, and regulate fluid balance. On the other hand, heavily processed, salty, and nutrient-poor foods send signals of stress, tightening vessels, increasing pressure, and overworking the heart. And the most powerful part of all this is that these effects are not delayed for years. They begin almost immediately. The body is incredibly responsive. It listens to what you eat today and starts adjusting right away. That means every meal is an opportunity to either move toward better health or further away from it. Now, I understand that habits built over decades are not easy to change. Many of you have been eating a certain way for most of your lives. It feels familiar, comfortable, even enjoyable. But I want you to ask yourself one simple question. Is what feels comfortable today costing me my health tomorrow? Because the truth is, many of the foods we grow used to are not supporting us the way we think they are. They may fill the stomach, but they do not nourish the body. They may taste good in the moment, but they leave behind a burden that the heart must carry. This is why I emphasize that food must be seen as medicine, not in a complicated or restrictive way, but in a practical, daily sense. Medicine does not always come in a bottle. Sometimes it comes in the form of simple, natural foods that your body already understands and knows how to use. When you begin to choose foods that are rich in nutrients, especially those that support blood pressure control, something remarkable happens. The body starts to regain balance, blood vessels begin to relax, circulation improves, the heart no longer has to push as hard. And gradually, the numbers begin to come down, not through force but through support. But let me be very clear about something. This is not about perfection. It is about awareness and consistency. One healthy meal will not fix everything, just as one unhealthy meal will not destroy everything. What matters is the pattern. What matters is what you do most of the time. If most of your meals are built around foods that nourish and support your body, then over time, your body will respond positively. It has no choice but to improve. But if most of your meals continue to place stress on your system, then no amount of occasional effort will be enough to counteract that. So I encourage you to stop thinking of healthy eating as a temporary adjustment. This is not something you do for a few weeks and then abandon. This is a daily commitment to yourself, a quiet, consistent decision to care for your body in the most fundamental way possible. And here is the empowering part. This is something entirely within your control. You may not control every aspect of your health, but you do control what you put on your plate. You do control the choices you make each day. And those choices, repeated over time, have the power to change your health trajectory in a profound way. Do not underestimate the simplicity of this approach. The most powerful changes are often the simplest ones, done consistently. You do not need complicated routines or extreme measures. You need awareness, intention, and the willingness to choose better, one meal at a time. Because at the end of the day, your body is always listening, and what you feed it today is shaping how it will serve you tomorrow. Now let us move a little deeper, because understanding what to eat is only part of the story. The real transformation does not come from knowing. It comes from what you do repeatedly, day after day. Many people hear about healthy foods, they try them once or twice, and then they stop. And when they do not see dramatic results immediately, they assume it does not work. But that is not how the body functions. The power of these 7 foods I am speaking about does not lie in how much you eat at once. It lies in how consistently you include them in your daily life. This is where many people misunderstand the process. They believe that if something is healthy, then taking a large amount occasionally will produce faster results. But the body does not respond well to extremes. It responds to rhythm, to balance, and to steady nourishment. Think about how your body operates. Your heart beats continuously, your blood flows without interruption, your cells are constantly renewing themselves. Everything about your system is built on consistency. So it makes sense that the way you nourish it must follow that same pattern. When you begin to include these foods daily, even in small amounts, you are giving your body a regular supply of what it needs to function properly. Nutrients like potassium help balance sodium levels. Magnesium supports the relaxation of blood vessels, and antioxidants work quietly to reduce inflammation and protect your cardiovascular system. But these benefits are not stored in large quantities for long periods. They need to be replenished regularly. This is why consistency matters more than quantity. Eating a large portion of healthy food once a week will not have the same effect as eating a moderate portion every day. It is like watering a plant. If you pour a bucket of water on it once and then ignore it for days, it will not thrive. But if you give it a little water each day, it grows steadily and becomes strong. Your body works in much the same way. It thrives on steady care, not occasional effort. I also want to address something that often discourages people. Many expect instant, dramatic changes. They want to see their blood pressure drop significantly within a day or two. And when that does not happen, they feel disappointed. But what they fail to realize is that the condition itself developed gradually, and the healing process, while faster than many think, still requires patience and consistency. The beauty of this approach is that the changes are happening even when you cannot immediately see them. Inside your body, your blood vessels are responding. They are becoming less tense, more flexible. Your heart is beginning to work with less strain. Your system is adjusting in ways that are subtle but powerful. And then, after a period of consistent effort, you begin to notice the difference. You feel lighter, your energy improves, your readings start to stabilize, and suddenly, what seemed like a slow process reveals itself as something truly effective. Another important point is that consistency builds habit, and habit removes struggle. In the beginning, you may have to remind yourself to include these foods. You may have to think about it, plan for it, and make a conscious effort. But over time, it becomes natural. It becomes part of your routine. something you do without resistance. When that happens, maintaining your health no longer feels like a burden. It becomes a normal part of your lifestyle. I want you to understand that this is not about restriction or punishment. You are not depriving yourself, you are investing in yourself. Each time you choose to include these foods, you are making a decision that supports your heart, your circulation, and your overall well-being. And it is not necessary to complicate things. Simplicity is your greatest ally. You do not need elaborate recipes or expensive ingredients. What matters is that these foods find their way into your meals regularly. Whether it is adding them to your breakfast, including them in your lunch, or making them part of your dinner, the key is that they become a consistent presence in your diet. Even small steps make a difference. A handful here, a serving there, these may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they accumulate into meaningful change. This is how lasting health improvements are built, not through sudden, extreme efforts, but through steady, reliable actions. And let me remind you of something very important. Your body is always paying attention. It does not forget what you give it. Every nutrient, every healthy choice, contributes to a larger pattern that shapes your health. When that pattern becomes consistently positive, the results are inevitable. So instead of asking, "How much should I eat today to fix this quickly?" I want you to begin asking a different question. How can I include these foods in my life every single day? That shift in thinking is where real progress begins. Because in the end, it is not what you do occasionally that defines your health. It is what you do consistently, quietly, and faithfully over time. And when you commit to that level of consistency, even in small, manageable ways, you give your body exactly what it needs to restore balance and maintain it. Consistency, not quantity, is what turns simple foods into powerful medicine. There is something I need to correct because it has held many people back from taking action at the right time. A lot of individuals believe that once the body begins to decline, especially with something like high blood pressure, improvement is slow, difficult, and sometimes almost impossible without heavy dependence on medication. That belief, while common, is not entirely accurate. The human body is far more responsive than most people realize, especially when it is finally given what it has been lacking. When you begin to feed your body the right nutrients consistently, the response does not take years to begin. In many cases, it starts much sooner than expected. The body has an incredible ability to adjust, to repair, and to restore balance when the right conditions are created. The problem is not that the body is weak. The problem is that it has often been working under the wrong conditions for too long. Think about what happens when your system has been overloaded with excess sodium, processed foods, and a lack of essential nutrients. The blood vessels tighten, fluid balance is disrupted, and the heart is forced to push harder than necessary. Over time, this becomes the new normal. But when you begin to change what you eat, when you introduce foods that are rich in potassium, magnesium, fiber, and antioxidants, you are essentially sending a different message to your body. You are telling your blood vessels to relax. You are helping your system release excess sodium. You are improving the way your blood flows. And these changes do not sit idle. The body begins to act on them almost immediately. Now, I want to be careful not to create unrealistic expectations. This is not about overnight miracles or dramatic transformations within a single day, but it is about recognizing that improvement begins sooner than you might think. Within days of consistent, healthy eating, the internal environment of your body starts to shift. Within a short period, your circulation begins to improve. Your heart experiences less strain, and gradually, your blood pressure begins to move in the right direction. What often surprises people is not just the physical changes, but how they begin to feel. Energy levels improve. That constant sense of heaviness or fatigue starts to lift. You may find that you sleep better, that your mind feels clearer, and that simple daily activities require less effort. These are not coincidences. They are signs that your body is responding positively to the care it is receiving. You see, the body is always trying to move toward balance. It is always working to correct imbalances and maintain stability. But it needs the right support to do so. When you provide that support through consistent, nourishing foods, you are not forcing the body to change. You are allowing it to do what it was designed to do. Another important thing to understand is that progress is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it shows up in small, steady improvements that build over time. A slightly better reading today, a little more energy tomorrow, a gradual sense of improvement over the weeks that follow. These are the kinds of changes that last, because they are rooted in real, internal adjustments. And this is where patience becomes important. Not because the process is slow, but because it is steady. When you trust the process and remain consistent, you give your body the time it needs to fully respond. Rushing or expecting instant perfection can lead to frustration, but understanding that improvement is already underway helps you stay committed. I also want you to recognize something empowering. You are not starting from zero. Your body has been sustaining you all these years, even under less than ideal conditions. That means it already has the capacity to function well. It simply needs the right environment to do so. When seniors begin to adopt these changes, many are surprised by how quickly they begin to notice differences. Not because something magical has happened, but because the body has finally been given what it needs. It is like opening a window in a room that has been closed for too long. Fresh air enters, and everything begins to feel different. But let me emphasize this clearly. The quick response of the body should not lead to complacency. Just because you begin to feel better does not mean you should return to old habits. Improvement is a sign that what you are doing is working, and it should encourage you to continue, not to stop. Sustainable health is built on sustained action. The same consistency we spoke about earlier is what allows these improvements to continue and become permanent. Each day, you continue to make the right choices. You are reinforcing the progress your body has already begun. And there is something deeply motivating about this. When you realize that your efforts are not in vain, that your body is actually responding and improving, it becomes easier to stay committed. You are no longer acting on hope alone. You are acting on evidence, on real changes that you can feel and eventually measure. So do not underestimate how quickly your body can begin to respond when you treat it with care. Do not assume that it is too late or that change will take forever. The moment you begin to provide the right support, the process of improvement begins. Your role is simple but powerful. Remain consistent, remain patient, and remain committed to giving your body what it needs. Because when you do, your body will meet you halfway, and often, it will respond faster than you ever expected. There is a reality we must face honestly, and I say this with both respect and urgency. Every choice you make today is quietly shaping how dependent you will be tomorrow. Many people do not think about this until they find themselves taking multiple medications, managing side effects, and adjusting their lives around prescriptions. But long before that stage is reached, there were opportunities, small, daily opportunities, to change the direction. Now, let me be clear, medication has its place. It can be necessary, and in many cases, it plays an important role in stabilizing health. But what we must not do is rely on it as the only line of defense, while ignoring the very habits that created the problem in the first place. That approach keeps you in a cycle, managing symptoms without addressing the cause. What I am encouraging you to do is different. I am asking you to take back a level of control that many people unknowingly give away. And that control begins with discipline. Not harsh, restrictive discipline, but steady, intentional commitment to better choices. Discipline is often misunderstood. People think it means suffering, deprivation, or living a life without enjoyment. But true discipline is simply the ability to choose what benefits you, even when it requires a little more thought or effort. It is the quiet decision to act in your own best interest consistently. When it comes to your health, especially something like blood pressure, this kind of discipline is powerful, because each time you choose foods that support your body instead of those that strain it, you are reducing the burden on your heart. You are helping your blood vessels remain flexible. You are supporting your system in a way that reduces the need for external intervention. And over time, these choices begin to accumulate. What once felt like a small decision, what to eat for breakfast, what to include in your meal, becomes part of a larger pattern. That pattern determines whether your condition improves or worsens, whether your reliance on medication increases or decreases. Now, let us talk about substitution, because this is where many people find success. You do not have to completely remove everything you enjoy. Instead, you begin to replace what harms you with what helps you. It is a shift, not a punishment. For example, instead of reaching for foods that are heavily processed and high in sodium, you begin to choose options that are fresh, natural, and rich in nutrients. Instead of habits that leave your body struggling, you adopt ones that support its function. These substitutions may seem small at first, but they are incredibly powerful over time. What makes this approach sustainable is that it does not feel like loss. It feels like improvement. You begin to notice that you are not just avoiding problems. You are actively building better health. Your meals become a source of strength, not stress. And as this continues, something important happens. Your confidence grows. You begin to see that your actions have real, measurable effects. Your blood pressure stabilizes. Your energy improves. Your overall sense of well-being becomes stronger. And with that, your dependence on medication may begin to reduce under proper guidance. But I must emphasize this carefully. This is not about making sudden decisions to stop medication on your own. It is about creating conditions in which your body requires less support over time, and then working with your healthcare provider to adjust accordingly. Responsible action is key. The deeper message here is about ownership. Your health is not something that should be left entirely in the hands of others. Yes, guidance is important. Yes, support is necessary. But the daily decisions, the ones that truly shape your condition, those belong to you. Every meal is a moment of choice. Every day presents an opportunity to either move toward independence or toward greater reliance. And these moments, though small, are where real change happens. It is also important to understand that prevention is always more powerful than correction. It is far easier to maintain good health than to restore it after significant decline. But even if you are already managing high blood pressure, it is never too late to improve your situation. The body responds at any stage when given the right support. What matters is your willingness to commit, not perfectly, but consistently. There will be days when it is easier, and days when it requires more effort. That is normal. What matters is that you continue, that you do not abandon the process because of temporary challenges, because the alternative is not neutral. The alternative is a gradual increase in dependence, more interventions, more complications. And that is something you have the power to influence starting now. I want you to see discipline not as a burden, but as a form of freedom. The freedom to live with more energy, more stability, and greater control over your health. The freedom to reduce complications, to protect your heart, and to improve your quality of life. This is not about doing everything at once. It is about doing what matters every day in a way that you can sustain. Small, intentional actions that build over time into something significant. And when you look back after months of consistent effort, you will see the difference not just in your numbers, but in how you feel, how you function, and how you live. Because in the end, the choices you make today are not just affecting this moment. They are shaping the level of independence and well-being you will experience in the future. Discipline today is what protects your freedom tomorrow.